And let me bring in another pro, one that I always glean some insight from, my trading warrior brother, Adam Button. Adam, uh, feels like I haven't talked to you in a year.
Hello, Dale. Yeah, it's been a quiet year, hasn't
Yeah, well, I haven't talked to you in a while, so that keeps it quiet too. And I'm interested. Maybe I'll take over the screen.
it? Yeah.
So much is
Yeah,
happening.
I'm going to stop sharing. And good morning,
All
Adam.
right,
I'm going to let you guys
Hi,
go,
Dale.
but just want to say hello.
all
Good
right.
day, Blake.
Good day to you,
So,
sir.
since you and I last talked, we had, the crash into April, um, war developing. It would take us forever to catch up. So let's just go forward. Where's your head on the dollar? Dollar getting a bid today after the bombing, but it had already started to get a bid. A lot of dollar bears out there, Adam. Do you
Well,
think?
that's a good point. That's a good place to start because you
All
see
right.
some of the surveys, Bank of America's survey of fund managers, short dollar, super crowded trade.
Yeah.
I think I saw that data from Goldman as well, saying the same thing. It's hard to believe, on the other hand, because long dollar has been a crowded trade for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Um, that it would have reversed that quickly. But now we're starting to see signs that they're onto something, at least in the short term, because the dollar, pretty big pop in dollar yen today,
Yeah. Huge.
and Dixie in general, which are showing there. I mean,
So bear
you,
market rally
well, I think you
or
can
early.
still. There's not a lot standing in the way of that Dixie chart could go up a lot more. Dollar yen a fair bit. I mean, the euro has been getting a lot of those flows, right?
Yeah.
And the idea is that Europeans are selling US assets. And if you look out just outside of FX, dollar denominated assets are sort of supposedly being sold, right? Or rebalanced at least.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately the performance, I mean, you have to chase the performance. And the US is tech, the US is AI. Unless that really washes out, it's kind of tough to be bearish on the US. By the same token, we're talking about everything that's going on. We're watching this budget bill unfold. Now you're going to pass. Obviously, it's going to pass. It's close to what it is or whatever. But then you look out, there'll be another election, 3 or 4 years. I mean, eventually this has to start to reverse the fiscal expansion. You're going to get a divided Congress at some point. And I don't know when you price that in. And meanwhile, Europe's sort of expanding. So,
I mean, the rates market, the yields market is probably one of the more confusing pictures. You can make a case that, maybe we're bottoming, the 10-year, if we get some kind of breakdown under this 430 level, could start heading down, kind of looks like a descending triangle. So, are you in the camp that tariffs could actually be deflationary? Everyone's
I
talking
think,
about the
well, I think
inflation
that, listen,
from
the
them.
Fed's going to be late, right? So it's looking, we are
Aren't
seeing
they
some,
already? Aren't they already?
well, when and how late will they be then? So if you've got
Okay.
rates too high in a slowing economy, that's pretty deflationary. And
Yeah.
tariffs could be reversed too. And then you get sort of deflationary impact that way. Oil price up a bit here. So that's going to keep the Fed on the sidelines a bit longer if we can hold around 75 or whatever. So you're going to get some higher monthly prints.
Okay.
But you talk about rates, like so many cross currents, right? So if you're trading right now, you're trading the Middle East. And
Okay.
last
Yeah.
week, you're trying to trade on the Fed a little bit at the same time. And you have the trade war. The G7 was just last Monday, feels like a month ago. And there's no progress there. So you're trying to trade the war, the trade war, the budget, the economy, whatever else Trump might get up to. And it makes for, you have to either trade 10-minute trades or try to trade
All
for
right.
10 months, it feels like nobody, and we've probably been
Swing
over this
trading's
before.
tough.
And I
Swinging
know a
is
lot
tough.
of traders, Dale, and I'm sure you do too, a lot of really successful traders. And nobody is trying to guess what Trump is doing anymore. Like nobody has been able to do it. Everybody's basically lost money trying to guess on his whims. And it's just, even if it's worked out, it's a very difficult trade.
Okay.
And
Well,
just
you
that.
know, I did hear regarding euro that, you know, euro kept appreciating against the dollar, but the last 3 or 4 weeks, the interest rate differential, I don't know, is it SOFR, was starting to move in favor of the dollar. That the interest rate differential was moving from out of favor to the dollar to in favor of the dollar over euro.
I mean,
Is that what you saw? Anything in these interest?
listen, go back to the ECB. They kind of signaled they're going to be on the sidelines, and you would have thought that would have helped the euro out, right? It was pretty hawkish from Lagarde, or less dovish, and it didn't really, right? And then
Yeah,
the trade war's gone sideways again. You'd think that would maybe help the euro. It hasn't. So a lot of those things that you, you know, yeah. So for I haven't seen that, but when you can't rally on good news anymore, you wonder if that's looking like a little bit of a blow off there
yeah.
in mid-June.
Well, I mean, this, if it's a descending triangle, you know, it's about 150 to take it to about 13. You know, I actually am more aggressive, think we could get to 110, but I think that would, part of that would be, you know, we're all looking at the Middle East right now, Adam, and there's still a lot of a lot of noise and danger happening in Ukraine.
And
So, you know, this kind of takes our eye off the ball in Ukraine. And I think that Europe is more concerned and vulnerable to what happens in that conflict than the Middle East. We already know they're vulnerable to energy shocks. The whole world is. But
well,
geopolitically, that could be a problem, or maybe some flight capital away from the euro if things, you know, escalate. And they
okay, I'll
have
ask
been
you this.
escalating.
What day, Operation Barbarossa, right? The Nazi invasion of Russia, right, the biggest military
Oh,
conflict in history. What day
right.
did that start? It was June 22nd, 1941. Right? So
Wow.
today is June 23rd. So there's a day ago. So European offensives happen at this time of year, right? It was a little bit delayed, but now is the time that things can really kick off in a war. I mean, you see
That
these
is
periodic
that's a great
offensives.
point. Yeah, the
Yeah.
summer months, the ground is hard. You know, you're not dealing with the snow like, you know, they do in Russia and in Europe. So
And
do you
there's been a
see
few surprises in that conflict, right?
recently?
Ukraine had their counteroffensive.
Yeah.
Now might be
So
the time.
what are you thinking about Russia here?
Well, I'm not a fan of a lot of the things that are going on in the world. But it's really hard to drill down and focus on that. I find. I think you're just making a case that there's all these risks, and I'm trying to think about, okay, what are we going to be trading on 6 months from now? And I'd say like the bottom of the pecking order right now is the economy, right? You've all these wars, trade wars, everything else. I think eventually we're going to be trading on rate cuts. Um, and so is this all noise? And I'm coming around to the view that, well, the tariffs are, maybe they are noise. You just price in 10%. Um, the Iran war looks like maybe it is going to be noise. The US doesn't want a ground war. So what's the big risk
No.
there? Um, and then
Well, the
Russia,
risk
Ukraine. I
is,
know I do see Lindsey Graham making a lot of noise about sanctions.
yeah. And
Like
President Trump said sanctions cost a lot to enforce.
well, he
Uh,
well he said there's something like 80 cent. Well, I guess you could have sanctions and not enforce them. Because he said that he had something like 84 senators lined up for it. So that's obviously veto proof.
okay.
But that, I think, would maybe be a spot to watch. Uh, and but the whole geopolitical trade, it's tough right now. Like, and I, nobody predicted anything that's happened this year on that front.
I
And
did.
all right. I listen. It's been tough, but you're
Well,
right. I
maybe
mean, listen, I'm
maybe
not going to
I'm
say that
no one.
nobody did,
Maybe
but
I'm no one, but I did. Anyway, so you know, what do you think the trade is? Here we are at the beginning of summer, new season. We just passed the summer solstice. What do you think between now and the fall traders should be focused on? Because I know what you mean, Adam. There's just I feel desensitized. There's so much out there to go through that's having impact, and I don't think any time in my career we've had this kind of geo stuff happening at the same time with trade wars. Just the word war, it's like it's being used all the time more than any time in my life. What's the opportunity between now and Labor Day?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you kind of stretch it out a week at a time here, this week pretty dead, right? PCE, US, not a big indicator, I don't think right now. Just because we're waiting for some trade war indicators, trade war effects. And you get it's July 4th week after that. And then you're into sort of these Liberation Day, July 9th deadline, which I think everyone expects to be punted at this time. So then you have, are we going to get a trade deal on anything? And that is where you're at. And then, okay, if you're going to punt from July 9th, you probably take it to September on the timeline on that. And then that does get you to Labor Day. And you kind of are looking at some of the rhetoric around that. Okay, people are making deals. We're going to make deals. There's talking about India, Pakistan last week. I think Trump sounds like that's going to be a deal. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that tells you anything because India has such high tariffs. They bring them down. I mean, the EU can't really offer that same sort of thing, or Canada or Mexico or anyone who's a big trade partner with the US.
Do you like
So
foreign markets over US?
I still like the US. There's some decent momentum going on here.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this, Adam, because this was really phenomenal action, both sides. The crash to the old breakout at 4,800, and then this recovery, um, mind-boggling. So, I heard that, the talk is retailers bought this dip,
well,
and the
they were,
institutions are under weight the
and they'll have to
market.
chase if it breaks, right? I think you can buy a
Right.
break. You probably need some good news to get a break to the upside. I don't think I want to buy here. Um, and you kind of, it would be nice to get another sell off, but this buy the dipped instinct is intense.
Yeah, it was
You
intense
worry
today.
about some of the names that are leading it. I'm sure you watch Circle or whatever up, I don't know, bazillion% since the IPO 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't even know what
This
it
sort of
is.
penny stock mania sort of stuff.
We're
Big red
getting meme
flag there.
stuff again, huh?
I mean,
Yeah.
China's interesting, right? China's pretty interesting. The growth is good. They seem to be weathering the trade war okay. Still super cheap. They're winning in a lot of ways. I think I read the interesting book on Apple in China, and you just can't get away from China. Like there's no moving things out of China. And I think that America's maybe trying to reconcile itself with that idea right now. They're just better at manufacturing things. And now the whole supply chain's there. I think maybe at some point once that sets in and your timeline can be differ on that you have to try to make friends again. And if the US goes from really trying to take back manufacturing to trying to coexist a little more with China, there's a huge re-rate opportunity there. And I don't think it's going to be friends, but
Yeah.
if things stop getting worse,
Okay,
big
so you think
opportunity there.
you think China's a shot. I mean, we're getting pretty close in Baba to where if this is going to be good, that we're compressing now. So, Baba might be maybe played against this moving average, could be a decent play. Um, what's strange to me about Baba though, Adam, is when I see charts that look like this, like dots, you know, it tells me there's not a lot of liquidity
Yeah.
in the market. Like, what do you have to do? You have to make an appointment to trade this stuff, and these are big
Huge stock.
companies. Yeah, so there's the picture. Big
There's some big
triangle.
problems in market structure in a lot of places right now.
Yeah, I mean, where's the liquidity is drying up in places,
Well,
it
and
seems
as
like.
soon as things go wrong, liquidity is just gone. I mean, it was gone in
Yeah,
April. It was gone in COVID, in bonds and everything. And there's just going to be some kind of blow up. I don't really see
Every,
anything on the horizon, but whatever it is.
well, everyone's thinking it's going to happen in the bond market. Do you agree? I mean, everyone's saying that the bond market's going to break, that the U.S. is going to have a Liz Truss moment in their treasury market. Do you see
I,
that, or should we
I
be
think, if
contrarian?
you get, you're pricing in still a pretty best case scenario right now. If you got a recession, a war, the Iraq war cost what, $8 trillion?
Yeah,
Um, Anything along those, like a fresh shock, even an inflation shock. Oil going to 120, right? I mean, what are you paying for a 10-year then? You got to price in the possibility of Fed hikes if you get that.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
I mean, I don't think it's done. I mean, I think we could have a pullback, but um, Mark Chandler once told me during an interview that every major recession in the U.S., almost every, he didn't say everyone, was preceded by an oil shock. So could this be the nail if there's an interruption of the flow of oil from Iran? Um, could this be the nail that finally, a lot of people are saying we're already in a recession and the Fed is late. What about an oil shock and higher gas prices on top of it?
Yeah, and then because then the Fed's hands are obviously tied, right? You could say, oh, it's a one-off from tariffs, it's a one-off from oil. Like they're not going to look through that, and then you have the Fed sitting it out for a long time. And it could be a U.S. blockade on Iranian oil. It could be, Strait of Hormuz, like everyone's talking about. It could be something else in Russia, like you flagged.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's what I mean. There's so many pots bubbling on the stove that you know, you're paying attention to one and then one bubbles over the other
and
one.
I'm not like right now. I just don't see these big opportunities, whether it's oil, whether it's any of this right now. Someone's asking dollar CAD, not. I think a lot of the oil market, if you look further out the curve, dollar CAD will trade a bit more on that. It's looking
Yeah,
like short-term disruptions. So it's come up a fair bit.
yeah,
Uh,
nice 1 week move. I was thinking maybe 140 and then back down, 139, 140 and back down again.
Yeah, I could see a lot of this is where it's like a retracement moment right now, right? We're seeing a lot of that. We're probably still waiting for it to happen in stocks, but gold's in a bit of a retracement now.
Yeah, everything
Oil's
but stocks.
everything kind of coming back in. It's kind of a summer trade, right? 2 quiet weeks here. Wait till July 9th. Trump is his instincts around tariffs are so aggressive.
Yeah,
Again, I don't want to predict what he's going to do, but it's not going well right now in these trade deals. And I think that is going to have a bigger effect. But the lesson of the first Trump admin was ignore the tariff noise. And these are higher tariff levels though, so can you still ignore it?
yeah.
Um,
It's going to be a interesting finish the last 6 months of this year. So you know what? I think it all kind of boils down because I've talked to you. I don't know, maybe 50 times at least, Adam, over the years.
it's been a
And
good run.
and you usually have conviction about something. And when a pro like you doesn't have conviction about anything and says you either have to trade for 10 minutes or 10 months, that's a statement in itself. So I think a lot of us are, in the I don't know camp. And you may see short-term stuff to take advantage of, but it's pretty hard to say I'm going to take a position here and I'm going to hold it for 3 weeks.
Well, and here's the secret too, an analyst is sort of out of business if you do that, too often. And like you said, we
Yeah,
talked 50 times and I probably haven't done this once before,
yeah,
but
you haven't.
it is, and because it's bad for business to be an analyst that says like be careful right now.
Yeah,
And even if you look at places that camp out, and I think this is always good advice. People, buy puts, buy bonds. If you're bearish, just cash. Like there's something to be said for just raising cash. But seasonally, July pretty good. It's not like there's any rush. We don't need to run out and freak out over everything, but
yeah,
that I think you've nailed it or pinned it down there. it's a tough stance to take at any time, especially, you know, the way everything's so aggressive online now. So many bots online. I was watching
Oh God.
This Tesla launch. Everything's
Yeah,
bots. Everything.
I
And
know.
you can't really trust anything except Dale Pinker
No,
and
well,
real
yeah,
people. And so you
it,
got a good thing going here with real people, because like 90% of everything online now, I must be going crazy because it just all seems fake to me.
yeah. Well,
And
you know, there are AI generated there might be AI generated Dale Pinkers out there. I know some guys in the business that are getting messages from their friends congratulating them about stuff that they don't even know about. And they're
oh,
creating AI images of these people and putting the stuff out.
yeah, it's golden age of fraud. I mean, AI, if we look, okay, black all this out, the whole Trump admin, in 4 years from now, and there's a new president or whatever, we're going to be talking about AI and all the changes in the world from that. You know, I'm not a big tech trader guy, but what a heck of a trade it's been for the
Yeah.
techno optimists, and just enormous. But it is, I mean, the early adopters of almost every technology in the last 10 years have been fraudsters.
Yep.
And
Any view on crypto? May as well go there.
you know, it was kind of interesting. It came back nice today. I mean, it's a really good barometer of risk appetite. It
Right.
really is. It seems to be ahead of the curve on the risk trade. Like, I don't have a strong view on Bitcoin itself, but repeated opportunities in that sort of short-term trade we're talking about
Yeah.
are on the signals from Bitcoin, either intraday or a little bit longer. You know, it hasn't gotten to new highs, so I can't be bullish on stocks until it does. And I think
Okay.
you know, I think you can trade off it in that sense. That's looking pretty tired, that Ripple chart you've got up there.
Yeah, I'm looking to buy it if we get some type of flush down here about 140. I don't know if it'll get down there. Kind of reminds me of the crude line I had that I waited for a year or so for it to hit. And then I bought it on the line, and then it did an overthrow from 62 to 56. So uh, anyway, Adam, you know, say you were talking about how it's not good for an analyst to not be throwing out a lot of ideas and to tell people to take care and maybe even shorten their time frames. But you know who it's good for? Your
Who's that?
customers.
Well, I hope so. You know, you try to
Yeah,
build
yeah,
trust,
yeah.
and
You know, it's good for people because they never think about that. It's okay to do nothing at certain times in market history. And I
well, that's
think a
my
lot. Go ahead.
it's
Go
my
ahead,
favorite.
buddy.
It's my saying, and it's helped me probably more than any saying, is that there's always another trade. I think
That's right.
The FOMO can eat you up. Looking at the
Yeah.
chart, like seeing Circle or whatever up 600% in 2 weeks. You know,
Yeah.
it's that kind of stirs the greed. But there's always going to be another Circle. There's always going to be another, and you don't have to hit 100 of these trades in a career. You know, it's like five or
No,
six. You make it
it only
two,
takes
really.
one.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want to show uh, where people could follow you. So here's Adam's. I know most of you know his handle at FX underscore button, but um, and you can find his excellent stuff here. I'll eat a cookie. It's breakfast time. So anyway, a lot of great coverage. Adam's one of the best news traders in the financial uh, space. Works with Greg. They have a great thing. Anything new that you want to talk about that you're doing here
Yeah,
on
well,
Forex Live?
we're gonna rebrand the site to investinglive.com. So
Okay.
that's gonna become later in the summer. So pretty excited there, but everything will redirect. Same quality of service, pretty much same thing. Just trying to grow it a little bit in that sense. So that'll
So
be interesting.
you'll be doing more stock coverage and stuff. Is that
Well,
why you're
yeah,
doing it?
we're gonna have some people. I'm gonna try to do most of the same things. I mean, cover commodities, macro. You can only spread yourself so thin.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have a little bit more of that. And again, we're just looking for headlines to trade on
Yeah.
a lot of the time. And you know, you catch a headline here and there, and it can be on a lot of different things if you cast a wide net. Could be an M&A deal, could be Yeah, geopolitical. I remember if you go back to Israel, Iran, I don't know, 2 years ago, a year ago,
Yeah.
there was a pretty good fade. I remember there. I don't know. There's always a headline, right, Dale, that you can trade. So we try to be right on top of the headlines more than anyone.
Yeah.
And it's free and it's live and it's fast and it's yeah.
And it's got Adam,
Well, we
which
try
I
to.
think, which I think is uh, you are Forex Live to me.
Well, thanks.
Uh, anyway, Adam, really good to talk to you, buddy. How's Canadian real estate doing?
It's struggling, Dale, and that's been a pretty. I've been pretty bearish on that for a while here, and
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
struggling and struggling and struggling, and it hasn't hit consumer spending as much as I thought. I still think that's coming, but
Okay.
it's the power of the consumer, which I
And
maybe credit a little bit to advertising and Mark Zuckerberg and everything else, but people keep spending money they don't have.
yeah,
Uh,
the definitely consumer debt is off the charts here in the U.S. So how do you like having Mark Carney as your prime minister?
he's had a decent start so far. I think we needed some change in Canada. Everyone thought the election was going to go a different way a few months before it started.
Right.
He's come in. I think every politician in the world has the same job right now, and it's dealing with Trump. Maybe
Yeah.
he has the
Even
magic.
Trump.
So,
Uh,
there
yeah.
haven't been Abe had a lot of success in Japan. He's dead. So I don't know
Yeah.
who you look to now who's a real Trump whisperer in a foreign government.
Yeah.
Netanyahu, I guess, but
Yeah.
there's not really a trade on that. So we'll see how that develops. But so far, he's saying all the right things. But politicians, at least you know what could do worse. You could do worse than Mark Carney, and you certainly
Okay.
are doing a lot worse in many parts of the world. So
Yeah.
we'll
So
roll with the
anyway,
punches.
I always root for you, Adam,
Oh,
and
well, thanks, man.
I know that you put your heart into what you do, and you're trying to do the best. And you're the second or third veteran trader that I've heard talk about that this is not the easiest environment for
Oh,
especially newcomers. So thanks for sharing your experience with us, and we'll talk, later in the
all
summer or
right.
fall or even
Enjoy
before
that
that.
San Diego sunshine.
I'm moving to the beach for the summer.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, so I've got out of the desert and can't take it. So uh, I'll take heat in the market, but I can't take it on my body.
We got a heat
So
wave here right now. I don't know, by
uh,
our standards, it's intense.
yeah. So Adam Button, everyone, follow Adam at FX_Button and check out his and Greg's great work at Forex Live. Thank you, buddy.
Wonderful, Dale. Wonderful. Have a great week. Nice to talk to you
You
on a Monday.
all right. You too, Adam. So everyone, that's going to be a wrap. Everyone have a good day. Take heed on what these pros are saying to you. You know, there's no law that you have to trade, right? It's not against the law to be flat for a while. And remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings, and see everyone for Turnaround Tuesday tomorrow. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Forex Analytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.